Hello, and welcome to Soul Star Radio. I'm Jacquelene Close-Moore, and I'm coming to you live from South Yarra in my little shoppy shop just off Toorak Road, and I'm kind of excited for many reasons. The Kyabram Spiritual and Psychic Expo was on the 9th and 10th of February, and that was an absolute blast doing that event. And it was also a double, triple-decker challenge because it was actually the weekend anniversary of Black Saturday, the 10-year anniversary, and so it was my first time back working on that particular date because I found the events of that 10 years ago quite challenging and sort of didn't work on that date for that whole time. So going back there and getting back up on stage in front of an audience, doing one-to-one readings and doing a TV interview with a journalist was nothing if not challenging. But it certainly was also a sense of accomplishment in being able to hold that space. So I just wanted to say thank you to Daryl from Shine Your Light Events for getting me to represent the Expo on live media for Victoria. It was actually quite an honour, and I hope I did that justice. I'm also really excited because I'm going to be on a paddle boat singing sea shanty songs, if I get away with it, that is. Har, har. I'm not quite sure how pirates and a paddle boat on the Murray River actually work together, but I'm sure I can find an angle here. So I'm actually excited about this event. So it's I'm going to be on a paddle boat in Yarrawonga because you'll linger longer in Yarrawonga. And it's going to be a cruise, 2-hour cruise. I was sort of hoping for a 3-hour cruise because then I could imagine I was Ginger off Gilligan's Island, except I don't think that's going to sell so well. So, so I'm doing live show, and the great thing is there's a bar on the boat. That's the most exciting thing for me. I'm also doing a show. So you get a 2-course meal, you get a show with me potentially singing and getting you to sing while doing readings and possibly joining me in either nursery rhyme songs or sea shanty songs, just depending on how we feel, really, and how much alcohol's been consumed, which I won't be having any because, I'm going to be on my game, right? So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have lots of humour, which I think is really important in the spiritual field because sometimes, frankly, people can get a bit too serious. So, this is about having fun. So the 14th of September 2009, I'm going to be on that boat, and hopefully some people will be on that boat with me because otherwise I won't be on the boat at all. And it's a Cumberuna, which sounds interesting. There's a paddle boat. Look, there we go, holding it straight. Daryl there from Shine Your Light Events is actually putting that together for us, and I'm actually really excited about this. I just thought I'd let you know about that one in case it's interesting to you. You feel like jumping on a paddle boat with me and having some fun there of the entirely spiritual kind. That's what we're doing. So I'm also going up to Wodonga once again, Albury-Wodonga, because, they're two cities, they're opposite sides of the Murray River, and that's going to be on the 2nd and 3rd of March. And then we're back down in Yarrawonga at another expo with the same event group in Yarrawonga on the 13th and 14th of April. And so I'm sort of looking forward to all of this. It's really exciting to be part of that group. So thank you, Daryl, from Shine Your Light Events. And also I want to say hello to everyone who's writing comments in here. So to Alison, Nashia, Jamie, Dina, Michelle, Marletta, and Alison, and more of Nashia. So hi, everyone. Thanks for writing in to A1R Psychic Radio, on which Soulstar Radio appears. If you're wanting to connect with me, you'll find me on Facebook. Just look up Soulstar Radio with Jacquelene. In the meantime, let's get on with the show, hey? So I'm going to take some calls. We can do some readings, and that's going to be fun. So we'll just see how that goes. We've got Tonya in Madison, Madison, Wisconsin, USA. Are you there, Tonya?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Hello, and thank you for calling into the show. It's lovely to be joined by your presence today and the presences of the energies you got with you. I just feel that at the moment it's like having to go into more of a heart space for you, and whether you've been thinking your feelings and not really knowing how to feel your feelings so much because we're kind of rushed about and having to deal with a lot here. And it's like you're having to kind of prioritize how much energy you're putting into things at the moment and how to kind of balance all of that out, if that makes sense to you. And I can go into questions and areas you want me to look at. If I can start with your date of birth, I can get in and dig a lot deeper if you'd like.
9474.
Okay, so I'm just going to get that clarified. Is that September the 4th, 1974?
Yes, ma'am.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I really feel a lot of ability. You really are that person who can get things done, make it happen. You're very good at when you're focused at delegating, that is. But sometimes we sort of, oh, look, I'm just going to do it myself because at least then it'll get done. The other thing with you is once you get down to a task, you just keep going and going and going and going. And sometimes your trouble is knowing when to let go. Because you'll just keep persisting and persisting and, persisting. And sometimes that gets a bit tiring for you. I think some people actually can be quite draining on you as well. And this year is really quite full on having to really reassert your boundaries a bit more and work out more in your spiritual path. So I actually would see your intuition really growing this year, but also having to work on boundary control because, it's about this thing we're talking about, the juggling, all the things you're having to do at once, if that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Yeah, I think that you're really good multitasker, organizer. Don't worry about me. I'll get that done. And it's like, let's just maybe spend a bit more time looking at how you feel about things. It's sort of a really important thing at the moment because I think that you're pushing the feelings aside. I've just got to get this done. And, you'll always be busy. It's just who you are, and even if you're not busy, you'll find a way to be busy. And so I'm really kind of wanting you to, yeah, hello, I can do everything. Yeah, that's you. So I'm sort of like, Tonya, can we relax a bit? I really think also I'm wanting to stretch that body of yours, do a bit more stretching, and that brings you back into the body a bit more. Because it's like you can even push pain aside, disconnect from it and sort of go, oh, you're all right. And it's like, later on, it's like, I'm not all right, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I'm really wanting to work on the stretching. So even if we get on the floor, we get the legs out here and we put the hands straight in front and reach forward, because I reckon that lower back and the hamstrings get quite blocked and tight with you, and that's a way of releasing that. And even doing quad stretches, so bringing your hand, taking your foot up with your hand and standing up, careful to tuck the tailbone underneath while stretching the quad area, and maybe even if you Google quad exercises to get that nice and clear. But I'm kind of wanting stretching exercises with you because I think flexibility is a bit of an issue at the moment, and feeling a bit stiff and feeling your energy a bit sort of locked up sometimes. It's not really what you rung up about, but hey. And so I'm sort of wanting more flexibility towards yourself because maybe we're being too flexible with other people, and that's why our body's sort of jamming up a bit, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, it does.
So if we work on more flexibility for you, then we're not going to be quite so over flexible with other people and quite so, I'll give them another chance, I'll give them another chance, I'll give them another chance. Bit broken record there, kind of tiring. And then we build resentment in ourselves. And then we're sort of sitting there going, why am I doing this? So that's why I'm kind of bringing that up with you and going, let's address that one. Next year, 2020 is going to be a big year. Next year, 2020 adds up to a 4, and your your day of birth is 4. Your life path number 7, and this year for you is a 7-year. So it's really about, what am I doing here? Am I nurturing myself with this? And that's why I'm coming into looking at the body, looking at the structure with you, and how we kind of work on giving you more flexibility for yourself, because you're very flexible for other people. Sometimes people are very inflexible towards you and expecting so much. And maybe you're needing to sometimes put some boundaries on how much of that you're giving people, if that makes sense. And that's what I'm really wanting to work on. But the question you want me to look at for you today, though, because I'm sort of picking out the bits and I'm picking out, where would you like me to go?
You have been spot on for everything. I'm kind of just wondering about maybe love life. I've been single for so long, so just kind of wondering about that.
Yeah, I'm really hearing and feeling the grief in that, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's why I was like, whoa. I really feel you've got a lot of love to give. I think that you've had to have time out from sharing quite so much of yourself because in the past there's a draining out of your essence, sacrificial kind of energy for people, and it's like you're just giving way too much of yourself, and it's not that it's too intense and you're pushing people away. It's actually drained you out, if that makes sense, and that's what kind of is why you've been away, had to have this time to yourself. It's been healing and restoration and re-energized. So I do think you're headed in the right direction. This year is really still about you, though, and it's really important for you to maintain your identity when you're meeting people, because you meld with people. If you noticed, you are your own person. You're very good at helping other people find themselves. But what can happen is if you get really close to someone, you can start taking on some of their mannerisms and, like, even friends, and start to feel what they're feeling. And this is where sometimes in the past in relationships you've kind of lost your own sense of self. And it's really important for you to work on being very conscious in a future relationship with, how was I today at making sure that I'm reflecting on whether I'm happy with what I am doing, but also what I'm seeing done to me and that I'm participating in, allowing. And, how do I want to correct that? How did I address that? Did I address that the right way? Do I need to change how I'm dealing with that so that I can clear the energy, clear the board and clear the deck? And that way I'm not building up a silent resentment that then, Mount Vesuvius, there goes Pompeii, all of a sudden. It's like, oh, why'd you do that? Well, don't you know I've been harboring all of this pyroclastic clouds? Well, no, because, you were a silent volcano for a very long time. So it's really important to, sorry, I'm in a Gemini mode today. So it's really important to, address it moment by moment. And that's what I have to bring to you about future relationship, because I do think you've got that in you, but you've needed this time to really see it in a different light and not rescue people so much, not fix them all the time. And it's not that you, are always attracting these needy people, although that's happened. It's that you no longer need to take patients on board, because you're not Dr. Fix-It. And you can have that person in your life that, is themselves a whole person as well. And it's just going to be a process of being ready to reject a lot quicker, frankly. Bye-bye, that sort of thing, and being prepared to say that a lot quicker when you're getting those really strong red flags, instead of being, oh, look, I'll give them another chance. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. No, that doubt's there for a reason. So it doesn't mean that makes them a bad person. It just can be the wrong fit, So I do feel that in the next couple of years, when you're meeting people, and I do think it's when, not if, and that's about you getting out more, it's going to be a case of, patience here. Look at that card. Using patience to go through and sift and not necessarily settle just for anything. If love life in you have been going through, there it is, the rebirth card. The very start of the deck's actually the healing card. Then we have rebirth, still in a process of purification. And the last card after that, so future, use patience. And the last card at the end of that is humility. And some of your ex-partners really could have done with that. So it's there's a lot more meaning to those cards, but that's what I'm picking out. And it's just really important for you to just keep preparing yourself to analyze it. And that doesn't mean overanalyze it, but just, okay, what's this mean to me? Okay, is this working? And just be prepared to not just settle. That's the most important message I would have for you, because you're so very patient and kind with people that it's really important for you, in your case, to be kind with yourself. That's my main message to you, Tanya. I hope it helps. And I'm sending you a lot of love. I do feel there's love life for you. We just have to hang on in there and keep sifting. You need to get out more. We're currently not doing that, if that makes sense.
So you don't think that the person that I'm with right now is going to last?
I think the thing is with them, don't settle for behaviours that you're not finding to be helpful in yourself or them, because I feel like there's still a process going on here, and I'm still picking up you meeting other people. I would stay with this situation as it is right now, and you have to listen to yourself about things as to how you're feeling in each moment with that person. But I wasn't feeling a lot of their energy, which is why I think I'm talking about other people.
Oh, okay.
And that doesn't mean chuck them straight out. It means really assessing this and taking it moment by moment. Am I being treated correctly? Am I treating myself correctly? Are we treating each other correctly? Or am I yet again giving myself over, if that makes sense?
Yes. And then I have one more thing that is kind of really important to me. My mom passed away been 15 years ago. It was labeled as a accidental overdose, but I was told that it was murder and that it was suicide.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. And I'm very sorry to hear that. And I can understand your concerns there. I do feel at the time that she's in a very deep, sort of dark place emotionally anyway. I do feel there's someone around her that's quite manipulative at the time, which is why you're getting those different readings on it. I do feel I would actually go with the findings on this and call it accidental. I do think at the time there are various times where she's tossing up how she wants to deal with life and death and how she wants to control that. And I do feel that, as I said, I just feel there's someone manipulative around her, but I actually don't feel they've, quote unquote, murdered her, you know. But sometimes if you look at the astrology charts of two people in a situation like that, you know, and if there has been a murder, it can be really interesting. Like if you look at the chart of, you know, Sharon Tate and, you know, Charles Manson, it's difficult to know who the murderer is because, you know, who did what. And so there can be a projection that makes it difficult to see who is what, you know, what is the karmic load here and how is that soul contract playing out. And so there's a massive soul contract there between those two people, your mum and the other person. And but I do feel I'm going along with the findings. I don't feel these findings were rushed and just, oh, well, it's an easy case of just calling this accidental. I do feel this has been thoroughly investigated, although there is complication around who's investigating at the time and the politics of that, and who's doing what in the office that relates to that at the time. But I do feel it's the finding, it was made that way and through due process, even though there's complications to it. So I'm sticking with what they're saying, but I understand why you would have these different feelings and different readings on it. But it's really important, I think, to say, you know, that we can't sort of fix anything by going back on that. I feel that, you know, in a lot of ways, as I said, your mum was in a very difficult point in her life at that time, and it feels like this was kind of fated in a very difficult way, but on a much higher level. You know, there's karmic stuff going on here that's being released, and so that material can be difficult for us to sit outside of and go, well, yeah, but what does that mean? I think it might be worth you actually getting a really good astrologer to look at her birth and death chart. And that's going to help you resolve yourself with this, because I do believe all of this is actually in the chart relating to her natal chart, but also the transit chart of the time of death, time, place, location. And so that's what I would actually look at and get to the bottom of to find your feeling of resolution on this, because I don't think it comes from purely a psychic telling you that's going to resolve it for you in your space. But I think an actual astrological thing where we can go, well, this means that and that means, you know, this and this and this, and we can see the symbology and the archetypal structures of that the energy will be released for you and once and for all, if that makes sense. That's how I'm kind of seeing this. Because I think that gives you certain understandings that you're just not going to get. Like, I can say the same thing an astrologer would say to you. But unless you can see it on the charts and go, wow, I get that, and I can see that because this means that and that means this, and the symbology of it that is universal and that any astrologer is going to see it as, and I would probably be too if I actually had the chart, but I would probably say, well, that's redundant because I'm going to say the same thing anyway, because I've done that before. But it's really kind of, I think for you'll actually have to see it to really compute this on a much deeper level, because intellectually you'll get it, but it's on that deep core level that you're needing to really feel it, and I think that's the only way you're going to feel it, if that makes sense. So that's what I would urge you to do.
Okay.
And if they're really good at it, and they're picking up the asteroids, not just the planets, they're going to get the whole picture of what I'm seeing. So that's what I would honestly get you to do. It's a really helpful thing, I think. So I want you to sort of work on that. But in the meantime, do work on your boundaries. Do work on how you're identifying with yourself in relationship, not just how you're identifying with the other person and becoming at one with them. Because although we can feel at one with someone, it's really important to maintain our own space as well. Because otherwise you kind of get lost in the themness, and then the relationship becomes about one person, in which case it's no longer a relationship. And that's been the pattern you've had in the past a bit here, which is why I'm sort of going, yeah, okay, when we're meeting with people, we need to deal with it this way and this way and this way, if that makes sense to you. It's what you really need to work on, because that's where, I guess we'll call it the biggest energy leak has been going on in your life. And that sort of sense of boundaries and identity being a very important, lesson for you in your life, because your 7 life path number, once again, looking at this, it's all about boundaries. 7 life path number also relates to Neptune. It also relates to, in the tarot, the Chariot card, and the Chariot card links on the Kabbalah tree of life to what in English means fence. And this is all about, the fence, when we deal with agriculture, what we keep in and what we keep out, and boundary issues, boundary fence line, the boundary between ourselves and another person. So, your day of birth 4 is all about that sort of structure. It's the framework. It's, the window, looking outside. And you're very good at helping other people with their internal emotions, but you tend to externalize a lot and seek that external validation, where the danger is you do that with partners as well. And so it's really kind of important to work on, your internalizing of things and how we work with that. And that's why a lot of this is going to come up this year and kind of next year as well. And I think the thing is that if you've met this person last year, I think this could be a really significant key in your life that's really good for you, but it is going to be about working on your boundaries at the same time to make sure that you're keeping enough of you in order for the two of you to be each relating to someone rather than you purely relating to them, if that makes sense.
Okay.
That's the stuff to work on. And by doing that, it can help.
I was told I was an empath, so do you see that? Does it?
That's part of what I'm talking about, because empaths merge with people far too easily, and there's kind of a codependent tweak to that, and there's the need for external validation. And hang on, am I okay? Because if you're telling me I'm okay, then I'm okay. When you need to sort of develop, hang on, I'm okay. It's the I business. Empath doesn't have the letter I in it. And, maybe it'd be helpful if it did, because then you'd be more, hang on, okay, me, what do I think? What am I feeling? That's the key for you, is to look at what you're feeling and, is this coming to, through, or from me? Is a good question to ask when you're feeling things, because you may at times feel your partner and what they're feeling as if you're thinking it yourself, and you sometimes need to separate that out into what you're actually feeling. That's why I was talking so much about needing to do your own feelings at the moment, to develop what you like, what you feel, rather than what the other person's doing and feeling.
Okay.
Yeah, by working on that, it can certainly help this situation, and for you in relationships to develop that right structure. I think you're still on your way to that, and it's going to just be this process you're working on. And, you've done a lot of work on it already, but it's about continuing that work so that you can actually stabilize that energy a lot more, rather than feeling like you're being sort of thrown around by it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I would really work on in your case. Yep. So you were going to say?
I've been single for 15 years, so I've been single for 15 years, so I'm just like ready to open myself up and finally be with somebody, and yeah, so.
I think you're absolutely headed in the right direction. You are. You really are. And you've done a lot of work. It's just about continuing to be mindful of that. It doesn't have to be hard work. It can just be that reflection going, yep, all right, well, am I on course or do I need to adjust? You know, and if you think of it as a yacht with a sail, you know, you don't just go, right, the sail's up, that's it, I'm going to be fine now. No, because the wind might change. And, you know, things are not guaranteed in life. Things are not always static. And you have to, you know, be prepared to wind the sail around in the other direction and all these sorts of things. And it's called tacking and having a rudder and maybe having a crew. And choosing very carefully who's on that crew. And by the way, who's on that crew can be internally, you know, the aspects of yourself you're bringing into this. And by allowing the fact that if we always just are mindful of where we're going in this wind, then we're going to keep heading in a direction that's helpful to us and not feeling that, oh, hang on, why's the boat stopped? Or, oh, look, the sail's just torn and the mast has fallen off because, you know, I didn't tack. It's about adjusting. So I hope that helps you today, and thank you so much for your call there, Tonya. Sorry you couldn't get through more calls today. I just felt like I needed to stay with Tonya there. I'm sending you all a lot of love, and do tune in for the rest of the shows this evening on A1R Psychic Radio. In the meantime, if you want to find me, Soulstar Radio with Jacquelene or Jacquelene Close More on Facebook. Lots of love to you all. Catch you next week. Bye!